How horrible was 9/11? Why 9/11 is known as the darkest day in American history. On September 11, 2001, two airliners held hostage by criminals crashed into the World Trade Center Twin Towers at 490 miles per hour. At the moment of impact, explosions reverberated through New York. The World Trade Center was on fire. More than 2,000 people died in the fire. And you should know that these two skyscrapers have long been known as the architectural wonders of human history. The Twin Towers are both over 400 meters tall, with a view of New York from the top. And after the first plane crashed into the World Trade Center, the fuselage was stuck directly above. The elevator of the whole building was broken. The people trapped in the elevator appeared to be alive, but they were already dead. They had to take a desperate leap of faith from hundreds of meters above the towers. The black fog that followed engulfed the Twin Towers. But did you think it was over? Then another hijacked airliner came barreling through again, this time crashing into another World Trade Center. But luckily, this time, only half of the elevator was broken. Some of the trapped people were able to escape. All the passengers on both planes were reduced to ashes. And after the plane hit the building, 69 tons of oil leaked from the fuel tanks. In the fuel tanks, causing a chain of explosions. The atmosphere of fear is spreading throughout New York. In addition, the steel reinforcement of the floors began to deform and twist. Although the 94th to 98th floors above were cut off by the airliner, but the top 10 floors still weighed as much as a ship weighing tens of thousands of tons. Eventually, the increasingly fragile rebar couldn't hold it up any longer. The upper end of the building began to collapse, and the falling floors set off a vicious cycle, and the whole building collapses, and people could only pray for it from afar. In fact, when we cut through the sections of these two towers, you'll see that the buildings are made of dozens of steel bars running from the bottom to the top, and a grid of steel columns inlaid in the exterior walls. And then workers build the floors layer by layer. It's like a solid foundation, and the designers also put dense elastic shock absorbers on both sides of the floors. So even though the building was hit by an airliner, but it didn't collapse, unfortunately, in the eyes of these crazy bandits. The so-called iron walls were still useless. After 2 hours of fire, the whole building collapsed. The two multi-billion-dollar skyscrapers were reduced to a charred heap. It is known that the 9/11 attacks killed at least 2,000 people, and a total of $200 billion in damages. The two megatowers were turned into a living hell. That's why 9/11 is also known as America's darkest day.